Welcome back to the Fantasy Football Report. I'm Blair Andrews, finally joined by my co-host Hasan Rahim. Hasan, good to have you back. How's it going?
Good to be back, man. I'm really happy that you were able to hold it down in my absence. You had a lot of pretty solid guests. But I'm just excited to be back, man. This is week 18, whatever. But we all know like this is like the amuse bouche for the FFPC Playoff Challenge. And heck, I mean, if you want to even rip some underdog drafts, I'm here for it.
Yeah, definitely. I'm open to that. Yeah, this is the time of year when we get to talk about this crazy contest and participate in it. It's definitely one of the most fun formats, I think. So I'm excited every year for it.
Yeah, and I mean, it's just a fun time, especially with trying to decipher the boomer opto. I've been dealing with a pretty horrible flu, so I spent some time, with some of the sick diseased minds of the boomers as well. Like it's a good way to get in there. You know what I mean? Like you know how they're thinking, you know how they're feeling, and I can tell you right now, neurons aren't firing at anywhere close to 50%, let alone 100%. So man, I'm in peak boomer opto shape right now.
All right, awesome. Yeah, for anyone watching, we are going to be discussing the Boomer Opto with the ship chasing guys on Tuesday night. So we don't want to give everything away today, but we are definitely going to get into some of the, I think, most likely scenarios and some of the best ways to play a lot of these situations. We have the entire NFC bracket. We know and we know which teams are going to be on the AFC side, just waiting for this Buffalo and Miami game to wrap up to see who plays where. But yeah, I mean, I think the first way to kind of start talking about this contest and how you approach it is thinking about what scenarios you expect to play out, not only in terms of who you expect to see in the Super Bowl, but also any upsets that might happen. So yeah, that's kind of my first question. What scenarios are you really looking forward to? What teams do you see being able to make a run, and what teams might surprise us?
Man, on the AFC side, I think it's fairly open shut book, right? A little bit in that you've got three really solid teams in the Ravens, the Finns, and the Chiefs, and then just sort of the only team that could potentially make a surprise run there are like the Buffalo Bills, right?
Mhm.
Like the Texans, the Browns, the Steelers. Like I really think that when you start really digging in over here, um, the real scenario you have to plan for is, can anyone take down the Ravens right now? And the second scenario is, are the Chiefs a one and done team, right? Like because they really haven't been in great shape. But that, I mean, the same thing can be said for a bunch of other teams, right? We haven't got to the NFC yet. So I really am going to be curious to see how this shakes itself out. Um, I am going to be interested in where the Bills land, right? Like if it's going to be Chiefs Bills, like how are you playing that? Because I have a weird feeling that uh, Josh Allen can draw a lot of ownership.
Yeah, that is an interesting question. The Bills are kind of hard to play depending on how this game goes because so many of their skill players have not necessarily been playing as well as we expect. Diggs has not had a good game for a while. Gabe Davis has had a few blow up spots, but not much. James Cook has also been kind of the same, a few blow ups and then nothing. So yeah, Allen, if you're thinking the Bills are going to win, if they get if they end up with a 2 seed or if you want them to, upset whoever they face. If you want them to upset Kansas City, then I think Josh Allen is the kind of the only way to play the Bills. So if they end up looking like a popular upset pick, or if they win tonight, then I think that's probably right. Allen could draw some ownership.
I think he'll draw a lot of ownership, dude. Like I just have a weird feeling that people are gonna like like the way I see it. I think 80% of the field's QBs are coming from the AFC, right? And I think it's gonna be one of the three: Lamar, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes. Right?
That's the other guy that I think draws a lot of ownership, not only because it's Mahomes, but also because there aren't a ton of really interesting ways to play the Chiefs either outside of Rashee Rice. I think even people are kind of souring on Kelsey a little.
Yeah, but I expect Kelsey to be like the highest owned
tight end,
tight end, and the highest owned Chief. Like I can see his like ownership pushing like 85%, right? Like
wow.
Like I haven't so just a full disclosure, I haven't spot checked any of my ownership projections with Bats. Typically I'll go in and help him. I'll be another guy who will go in and do my own ownership projections as well. Just put him in there. Because I know he's also started running his own version of the boomer option. I really don't want us to get to quote the Ghostbusters, to get the
across the street.
Cross the streams. Yeah, that's right. Like I said, man, like my brain is just not there right now. But yeah, so I don't want to do that, right? So I think that there are interesting ways to play the Chiefs. I don't think Mahomes is like the best way to do it. Like it's like you said, Rashee Rice is probably a good one, but I see a lot of people, like I see Pacheco drawing a lot of like I can see him being like, well, I need a running back, and then you put him in, right? Like I don't see I can't. You're not going to do that with any of the Baltimore backs, or you could if you wanted to. Because like one of the two running back spots is Christian McCaffrey, like just plug and chug, and that's it, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for the highest owned running back for sure. Yeah.
I mean, but here's the thing, right? Like with Diggs, and if you could actually do me a favor, my internet's like lagging. Could you like pull up his like weekly finishes for the season?
Yeah, I could. Who is this? Sorry, I was just looking at something else. It looks like, based on what I'm seeing, the Bills actually can't get the number 6 seed. If they win, they get the number 2. If they lose, they get number 7. So we won't see Bills Chiefs. Right.
Oh yeah, you won't see Bills.
Miami would get number 6 if the Bills win. But if Miami wins, you would see you would see the Bills at number 7 and the other team, Pittsburgh, at number 6. Yeah.
Jeez, right. Man, what on earth?
So that would be kind of interesting, but not necessarily what we want. Sorry, I'm trying to sign in because I didn't expect you to ask me this.
No, so. I guess the only reason I'm asking you is because I wanted to have graphical representation for the visual list of watchers, and then for the audio listeners, you can go pull it up yourselves. But Diggs has been an abject disaster this season. I mean, man, legitimately tanked a lot of really solid best ball teams and a lot of my dynasty teams, to the point where I've genuinely contemplated like full out retiring from dynasty. Like, this is not a joke. I genuinely bricked all my leagues, and my 2 third place games, I also bricked those. And I genuinely thought about like, this might just have to be the end of the road for me, because I just can't come this close and just have nothing to show for it. But just if you guys are watching this Bills Miami Dolphins game, but this is sort of why I really think Josh Allen will grab this ownership, is because his passing has been I'm trying to think of like the best possible way to explain this, but he's been like probably a flaming bag of dog shit to the air. He's been really making hay on the ground, right? Like Like he really has been, right? Like even now, and this is where I think a lot of people are going to talk themselves into um uh Josh Allen as a quarterback, because he's got the Konami code upside. He's like their main weapon in the red zone, and then he's what if the Bills can go on a run, right? And then you got enough people thinking that, and that's where I really think like Allen's going to draw this ownership. And yeah, this is like the Diggs finishes. I mean, just look at this, man. Since week 10, he's just been like literally half the season. He's been a wide receiver 3 or worse. Like, and like this isn't even like wide receiver 3 or worse. Like this is unusable. These are unusable scores.
Like less than 9 points in 6 out of 7 games since
it's ridiculous.
Week 10.
Like a good game was like 20 points, right? Like in that game before the bye against Philly, who's got like a really poor defense. Yeah. I mean, and that's kind of like, again, a little bit of an understatement, because they got carved up by the New York Giants today before having to pull their starters.
Yeah.
Right. I do think that we do have a couple of items of note, like at least news to like discuss at least how this is going to impact our the playoff challenge, and this is both on the NFC side.
Yeah.
First off was we discussed this in our private chat, but Sam Laporta got hurt. He limped off, and they're saying it's not serious, which is good, but I think that'll keep his ownership a little lower.
Right. Yeah, I didn't see any news on his injury. Thing I'm reading, looks like he might actually miss some time. So, yeah, your status in doubt for the playoff opener. Likely to miss time after suffering hyperextended knee injury. So, yeah, Laporta, I think this brings up a good question, and it's kind of related, I guess, to...
Wait, he might miss the first game?
Yeah.
I mean, at that point, he's just a bad pick at that point.
Yeah, it seems like not only is that pretty, like, that's bad for Detroit, but also can you play a guy like Laporta knowing he's going to miss a game? Like, it's different than playing players from a team that has a first round bye, because you'll get at least one game from those guys. You'll get at least one game from Lamar Jackson and Christian McCaffrey and stuff. With a guy who's going to miss the first game, like Detroit might lose, and Sam Laporta gives you 0, even if he does play, even if the plan is to play.
Yeah, like he's not a good and the whole thing is, with at least with Detroit, there's several really like everyone and their mother is gonna want to play Amon-Ra St. Brown, right? Like it's impossible. Like, I mean, after today, it's impossible. Mm-hmm. Like a couple of wide receivers who I already had them catching so much ownership, but like there's no way CeeDee Lamb and Amon-Ra St. Brown, like CD is going to be on like 85% plus of roster. Like he is going to be the highest rostered cowboy, right?
I think he could be the highest rostered player.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe apart from McCaffrey. Although
it'd be CMC.
San Francisco has other interesting guys, whereas Dallas really doesn't.
Yeah, exactly. Like Dallas only has the one. Right. And then I think you're gonna see people trying to get a little bit cagey, and they might you get. This is where it sucks, right? Because I think even in tight end premium, like the good leverage play would have been to not play Laporta, although as much as I love him, right? Because I think the interesting way to play Detroit would have been via the running game, either through Montgomery or Gibbs, and I think a lot more people are going to be gravitating towards Montgomery, in my opinion. But both of those guys are going to be fairly low. I mean, like this is the issue now with Sam Laporta. So Sam Laporta's status is going to be something worth mentioning, and then also like how do you play him in a potential one and done scenario if he's going to be used as broadly as a decoy, right?
Yeah, right. If he does play, yeah. I think I mean, given the fact that his status seems to be in question, and even if he does play, it's not clear he will be used that much. If he's not 100%, he kind of becomes unplayable in this contest, like you said. Now, if you're talking about a lot of ownership gravitating to Amon-Ra, and we could get Jahmyr Gibbs at like sub 10%.
Oh, easy sub 10%, dude. I've got him
How
probably. I'll probably
interested
have him
are you
sub 8.
in Gibbs at that ownership level?
Damn, we're already talking about. I mean, we'll probably bring this up again on the show with the ship chasing guys. But like, I was gonna say that he's probably my favorite leverage play in the entire tournament, right?
Yeah, I think I probably would agree with that. If where you're thinking ownership kind of coalesces on Detroit is right, perhaps with Laporta out, you see more people gravitating toward Gibbs and Montgomery.
I think that's going to be kind of contingent upon how you build
Whether
your
he plays or
rosters,
not.
right? Well, yeah, I think, or even just what the news on him is, right?
Yeah.
Like if we hear tomorrow it's not bad and he's going to play, then I'd rethink that. But like, I'd still be very in on Gibbs,
Right.
Just as a pure leverage play, because there's like the thing is there's just not. Like, there's a handful of interesting running backs, right? Like, you got the Miami Dolphins, you got HN, right? Like, that's probably how you want to play the fit. Like, that's probably the way you want to pay the Finns from a leverage perspective, right? Yeah. You don't want to play Singletary from the Texans. Remember Damian Pierce, RIP. I don't think you want to be. I don't think people really want to play any of the Browns, right? I think it's going to be Njoku or it's going to be through Jerome. Like, you don't really want to play Jerome Ford, right? I think Cleveland Browns are going to be a fairly popular soft fade. Buffalo's got James Cook, who's a fine running back, but again, like I said, I think Josh Allen's going to catch most of that ownership. Like, Pittsburgh Steelers are definite hard fade, right? I actually think that like Tampa Bay are going to be the hard fade on the NFC side, not Green Bay.
Interesting. Yeah, they face Philadelphia in the first round. They are already home dogs by 2.5 points, I think. Obviously today they only put up 9 points, and which was more than the Eagles put up, right? But still, did not look good. Obviously, the other big news item that we need to discuss is AJ Brown, who also hurt his knee.
He hurt his knee. Yeah, he was down holding it, right?
Right.
And we haven't heard anything.
It didn't look good. I've seen some speculation that it wasn't an ACL type of injury. People are suggesting MCL sprain. Somebody has reported he avoided an ACL tear, but that's kind of all we know. So yeah, his status also is kind of up in the air. Obviously, if he doesn't play, I mean, you would think he'd probably pull the most ownership.
Yeah, by far on the Eagles.
So how does
then
his
you're probably left with
things?
Swift? I mean, no, then you're probably left with Devonta Smith, right?
Devonta Smith. You could play Swift, I guess. You could play Goddard. I think some people will gravitate toward that. I wonder how much having Brown out makes Hurts a more popular play and kind of pulls ownership away from some of the other QBs that would have gotten up into the. I mean, like you're talking, Lamar's probably
going to catch 65%. Okay,
I don't know if I'd say it's that high, just because
you don't think so.
He's a quarterback, so I think you don't. I don't know.
Yeah, but he's also a quarterback who people are going to be mentally penciling in for 3 games, right?
True. I think it's a little harder, I would guess, to get to something that high for a position where you can literally only play one, Yeah. Versus wide receiver, where you could roster, I don't know, 6 of them.
4. You can get 4. No, 6, right?
Yeah. So that's kind of why I think he doesn't maybe get up to 65, but I mean, we're talking a different, is it 45 or is it 65? Doesn't really.
Yeah, but I wonder
That's
how
still
much. I
that's
think
still a big amount.
I really wonder how much ownership Goddard's going to catch in the event that AJ Brown this AJ Brown news is going to bring, because he's probably going to play, man. I mean, if he's okay, man, is it luck.
Right. Well, one thing we could do, they don't have a player pool in the FFPC challenge yet because we're still waiting for this
I'm looking
game.
I'm looking to see what AJ Brown's stats are. Sorry, no, Goddard's stats are without AJ Brown.
Oh yeah,
because that would be interesting.
That would be interesting. Well, you pull that up. I'm gonna try and pull up this spreadsheet that we can use to track picks and put a team together.
So in split, come on, this doesn't make any sense. So when AJ Brown plays, Goddard's actually better. He scores more PPR points. He has like one more reception. He's got one more target, got more receiving yards.
I don't think that's that surprising, actually.
That makes sense.
I mean, AJ Brown is the type of player who elevates that whole offense, but also, when he's on the field, it obviously opens up things for other receivers. So, I mean, that's another question. Tampa Bay obviously did not look great, but if the Eagles are playing without AJ Brown,
yeah, they've also got a really poor defense, though, right?
Yeah. Well, but yeah, both teams.
Both sides do. Yeah, I think that's going to be that's interesting, right? Because like this is where I keep going back and forth on the last hard fade, right? Is like you think it should be the Packers, but I think it was going to be like the Bucks. I was convinced it was going to be the Bucks, but like not thinking on it, like yeah, you could probably play Evans and get like a one-off blow-up game.
One and done, yeah.
One and done, and then you make your Packers a hard fade.
I mean, I do think, yeah, Evans is an interesting way to play it. I think you talk about running backs who could pull ownership, and there aren't a lot, but Rachaad White is a guy who's played well recently, who I can see just a lot of people clicking his name kind of by default because there's not really anyone else on Tampa Bay. Maybe a Tampa Bay soft fade makes sense. I mean, their kicker was the hero today. We talked about Jahmyr Gibbs at running back as a good leverage play. I want to kind of lock that in and see how we can kind of build around that, because that's interesting.
That's a fun one, right? And then if you don't like, do you want to eat like the Achan chalk?
Yeah, sure. So
we can play around with it, right? Like, so let's lock in our fades first, I think.
Yeah, I mean, obviously,
Pittsburgh.
We want to fade Pittsburgh.
Which this is going to be an
interesting way to play Pittsburgh, because they're going to be the most popular fade, obviously.
Yeah, Jaylen Warren probably.
I mean,
and if you're shooting for like ceiling, probably George Pickens.
Right. If you assume they're either going to play Buffalo, they're either going to play Miami or Kansas City, right? So in either case, they're probably, well, I don't know. It doesn't look good in either case, right? Do you in any of those cases, do you think maybe Deontay Johnson or George Pickens has a big game in a loss? Because I don't think you play for Pittsburgh to win either of those games.
Yeah, but then if you're picking Pittsburgh, then who do you not want, right? Like, is it Houston?
Right. Houston's another interesting one. I mean, they're probably going to be a popular soft fade, I would think. Nico Collins is interesting, but I don't really see him getting more than 15 or 20% ownership.
Yeah. I actually think Cleveland's going to be the popular soft fade, right?
Okay.
So I
Oh,
do, but I
Cleveland
do see
defense. Yeah.
Cleveland defense, right?
Yeah.
So Cleveland defense becomes your soft fade,
Right.
and then you're kind of back into Nico Collins. Right? That's where I think like Nico is going to still catch quite a good chunk of ownership, man.
Can you play? I mean, if you're playing, who does Houston play? They play Cleveland, right? Yeah. I mean, are there scenarios where you see Houston winning that game? It's probably not that far fetched. They're at home.
I actually think I'd see Houston winning that game, right? So then you probably get 2 games out of Nico.
Yeah, so you could play Nico. I wonder if you can, like, how crazy is a CJ Stroud lineup?
Pretty crazy.
I mean,
how crazy the Dalton Schultz lineup?
Dalton Schultz, yeah. Maybe not that crazy. It's hard to see Schultz. Man, I mean, I just don't want to play anyone on the Texans if it's not Stroud or Collins.
All right.
I also want to fade them. But I don't know. What's your estimation for Collins ownership? Let's pencil him in.
At 35%.
35%. Wow. Okay. I mean, the nice thing about this, I think, is that you don't really have to get that crazy. You don't have to do a contrarian play at every spot.
No, not at every spot.
You can play some chalk and still have a unique lineup and still have a lineup that's contrarian enough. Like even with this, if we're with HN and Gibbs, I think we could eat some CD Lamb or McCaffrey if we want.
Yeah, I was gonna say we should. So I wanted to get your take here on who our other hard fade is, right?
Yeah.
Is it an NFC team? Let's start there, right? Right, because I actually think that the way most people play this is they split the hard fades, one AFC, one NFC, and then they set the soft fades, one AFC, one NFC, right?
Right. And that makes sense. That's probably the smart way to do it too, right?
That's probably is, right? And if you want to differentiate a lineup, you could probably hard fade two from the same conference, right? Like let's say you're hard fading the Steelers and the Browns, right?
Right.
And then you soft fade another AFC team, right? Like let's say the Texans, you can pick Cammy Fairbairn or something, right?
Yeah.
And you just pick a bunch of skill guys.
Right. Yeah. Obviously, somebody's going to win
that out. Yeah.
Between Houston and Cleveland. So I think if you are hard fading Cleveland, you want to pick a skill position player from Houston. And you want to pick somebody who's going to play well in a win. So Collins makes sense in that scenario. Singletary probably makes sense there.
Oh, yeah. I have no interest in Singletary, man. Singletary versus that like run defense makes no sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he's going to get you like 3 points.
Well, no, actually, Cleveland's a lot better against the pass. They've been vulnerable against.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is that like I wonder if Cleveland just wins.
I mean, if you think the matchup is too tough for Collins and he's going to get more ownership than I think, then I'm fine taking him out of this one.
Yeah, I'm thinking on. All right, so we can think on this. All right, so who's our second fade? Is it like the Bucks or is it the Packers?
It's got to be the Bucks or the Packers, right?
Right. Yeah. Because historical anomalies are saying this in the chat, but it's like Aaron Jones versus Rashad White is a very fun discussion. Right? Like Jones has been pretty good when coming back from since he's rejoined the team. I do think that Jaden Reed is interesting. But you know, the odds that he goose eggs you and then is eliminated is pretty high, right? There's just nothing worse when you really do need, like, when you're picking these teams, like you do need one guy to just in a dying effort just to go the fuck off.
Yeah. I mean, the one thing that, we kind of saw it, obviously Tampa Bay didn't need to score today against the Panthers, but if the Eagles have AJ Brown out and are not necessarily playing that well, which we've seen before today, for instance, but even in games that mattered more, we've seen them kind of fall flat. I wonder if that ends up being a low scoring game that the Bucks lose anyway. Like that's not, I don't think, a too far fetched.
No, I yeah, like I'm with you. I really would like to just fade the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yeah,
I
let's
have
do
no
that.
interest.
All right, let's fade the Bucks then.
Yeah, so I wanted to get all right. So I have actually I wanted to get your take on the Rams, right? Because I think Puka Nakua is going to probably draw the most Los Angeles ownership. I think Kyren is a really interesting leverage play.
Playing
right.
the Lions in round 1.
Yeah.
I do like Kyren. I kind of had expected he would be the highest owned, the most rostered.
It's tough, right? It's tough.
The Lions are not bad against the run. They are really bad against the pass. So on the one hand, that makes it you want to play guys like Puka and Cooper Kupp more.
Mm-hmm.
How many people will have that same thought, though?
I mean, everybody, dude. And that's why, like, I was just like circling back to like Kyren because he gets so much usage in the passing game.
That's true too. Yeah, I'm definitely good with Kyren. If you
God, what is this boomer ass? Yeah, I mean, I'm also fine if you want to switch HN out for Tyreek, right? Like,
we are getting pretty. Like, obviously, we don't have any ownership projections here, so we can't see exactly how it looks. But so far, it seems like we're going a little bit off the board.
And if you want to go truly, like, if you want to really
avoiding
be off the board,
avoiding Tyreek.
We haven't.
Yeah.
We could probably, in all honesty, we could play Amon. No, I don't want to play Amon Ra. We could play CD. We can play Tyreek, and then we could probably fade CMC for Ayuk.
I do like playing CD Lamb. I just think
it's so hard to not play him right now.
Exactly. He's the kind of player who, Dallas wins 3 games and he scores so much that you can't win without him.
Tyreek?
No, CD Lamb.
Oh God, man. Sorry, this is my brain on 102 right. fever.
All right. You wanted to remove A-Chain.
Yeah, if you want to shove in Kyren, right?
Right. And
wow, cool. 2 running backs from the same game. What a great idea.
Oh man, I didn't even notice that.
Run will be established in Detroit, right? It's fine. We can tweak this.
Yeah, we'll mess with this as we get it. All right, and then if we're doing this with Lamb, then you say we fade
CMC for Ayuk, right?
Yeah. Now the question is also, who do we want at quarterback? Because if you are playing Lamar, that's the obvious way to go. If you're not, then Purdy is pretty interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Josh Allen maybe makes some sense. Mahomes maybe makes some sense. I do really like Rashee Rice in this contest, even though he's probably going to be, what would you guess, 20 or 30%?
Yeah, I think that's fair, but I think it would be, we got to figure out what tight end looks like for us first, right?
Right. Yeah, that's another good question because there aren't a lot of cool, really interesting tight ends.
I mean, Dallas Goedert's an interesting one, right?
Goddard's interesting. I think if you're fading Lamar Jackson, you can definitely make a case for Isaiah Likely. Just with how well he's been playing lately. If
you're fading Lamar, though,
Well, I mean, there has been talk of Mark Andrews coming back in the playoffs, so you might not
Yeah,
even
but
get likely as the
it's a
starter.
real long shot. It's a real long shot that he does anything before the Super Bowl, and even then, he's probably an inactive.
Yeah. Right. I mean, Njoku is going to be probably the most popular player on the Browns.
But I think it would be I think he's actually a good pick for this team.
Njoku,
Yeah.
I'm okay with that. I do like some David Njoku. Oops,
Crazy that he actually
stereotype.
panning out.
I know he just needed Joe
All
Flacco.
it took was Joe Flacco, man.
uh,
Dude, it's like Deshaun Watson never existed. Like, what happened?
right.
Dude, he went from being one of the most exciting young quarterbacks in the NFL to like an obvious like nonsing issue with him, and then when he came back, it wasn't like, oh, remember this. It was like, oh my god, who the hell is this?
Yeah, it's bad.
It
I
was
mean,
like the Hello Human Resources meme.
uh,
All right, for kicker and defense, right? So this is where we're going to be fading. For kicker,
we do need to think about the soft fades. And I mean, I think if you are, I mean, you're hard fading Tampa Bay, so you probably want.
Yeah. So I mean, the issue is we've now bagged ourselves to one of Nico or David Collins. I mean, or Nico Collins or David Njoku going through, right? So, do you think it makes more sense to go?
Oh, right. Good point.
Right.
Yeah. So Cleveland D is going to be popular, but who's Cleveland's kicker?
I don't know. Let me look it
up. They're not going to be popular. We don't even know their name. I'm sure I know who it is, but I just can't remember which team's kickers are on anymore. This is good radio.
No, same. Same. Actually, this is sort of why we need to bring back basketball with kickers and defenses.
Exactly.
Like the
whoever the Browns kicker is, I think he might be a good play.
Yeah, I'm just pulling it up. This is pathetic. This is pathetic. We should know this. I don't even know, man. Now, Riley Patterson. That doesn't sound right.
That kind of does sound right. I'm gonna write it. We'll see. Now the other question.
Are you sure it's not Dustin Hopkins?
No, but
no, it's him. It's Riley Patterson.
Okay.
What happened to Dustin Hopkins?
He's not on their team anymore. Yeah, Riley Patterson.
No, he is. What happened to him?
Is he?
I think he was rested. So he was injured, so he was rested.
He was rested, yes, because he was injured. It's a good.
Yeah, exact. Thanks, Henry. Hopkins could be the kicker. He is currently injured. Thank you. Yeah, that was what I was just looking up.
They should use team kicker. Exactly.
In the FFPC. I don't know. I kind of like that the FFPC makes you pick a kicker. I remember the old best ball, what was I forget how many rounds there were for the slims. There were like 28 rounds. Yeah, the old 28 round draft.
Oh yeah, for the slims.
Where you had to actually pick the kickers and the defenses. Yeah,
we still have those, but I think
they still have those.
They're not very popular anymore.
Yeah, that's sad. There was just something really fun, going on Twitter and like watching people like talk about how they had like, I can't believe I got this kicker in like the 8th round. It's like, bro, there's like 28 rounds. What are you doing? And then the funniest is when like people are like picking like spending like 12th to 13th round picks on kickers and they just get cut. Oh, it's not funny when it happens to you, but it's just funny in general.
That's true. I mean, it's interesting because that's another. I mean, having the kicker in there and the defense are just two easy ways to kind of give yourself an advantage just by drafting the right number. Like there are not many other positions that are like that, where you just you take 3 and you're good, and you already have expected, plus 1% advance rate or win rate.
Yeah, it's so much fun. I still play some cash from time to time. My cash rate's gone up absurdly, an absurd amount, but like I'd rather have a week 17 sweat. Anyway,
there you go. Now we do have to think about defense, and Green Bay playing against Dallas, they're not probably going to score a lot of defensive points. So, are you going Jaden Reed? Are you going Aaron Jones in that matchup?
I'm almost thinking like, is Buffalo a good soft fade?
Yeah, that's kind of interesting too. I mean, obviously,
or is Miami a good soft fade? Right, like one of these two teams is a soft fade.
Well, if Miami wins, they'd be playing Pittsburgh. If Buffalo wins, they'll be playing Pittsburgh, and we're already hard fading Pittsburgh.
Shit.
So that's kind of the question. If Buffalo wins,
then I almost wonder if Nico Collins is even worth having on the roster.
Right.
Because he's the one you can almost put Cleveland DSD, right? Then you put Cleveland DSD as the thing, and then you can make Gammy Fairbairn the other kicker.
So then you have the soft fade from the same game, though.
Yeah.
You just want to fade that game entirely?
Yeah. Is this game is going to happen in Cleveland, right?
Yeah.
All right. Time to scout the weather.
Somebody's going to win, though. It's not going to end in a tie.
Somebody has to win. Yeah, but the question is like, will it be like a 9-3 win? Like,
yeah, but the point is, you're going to get 2 games out of one of these teams.
That's true. Shit.
So Buffalo is an interesting play because
so this is going to be, they're going to play next Sunday, right?
I think so.
Oh God, we're just so ready for this, you guys. I'm pulling this up right now. Hang on, wild card.
Can you play Kansas City defense? They've been like weirdly good, but could they lose to like if Buffalo wins, could Kansas City lose to Miami? Yes.
No.
Definitely.
What? Kansas City lose to Miami? Yeah, bro.
Yeah.
All right. So the forecast for next weekend in Cleveland: rain, snow, wind on Saturday, mostly cloudy, wind on Sunday, and then snow on Monday. Choose your poison.
Yeah, right. I don't know. I think because of the way our team is set up right now, the defense has to be Green Bay, but we might want to.
Yeah, Henry's making a good point about David. Yeah, Henry's making a good point about Njoku, man. Like, I think we were right the first time with having Njoku on there, and then we can move Nico Collins.
They're not playing in Cleveland. They're in Houston. That's right.
Oh, they're in Houston?
No, Cleveland is favored, but they're playing in Houston.
Jesus. Okay.
Yeah, that's why we're confused.
Yeah, though there's some good comments here. Like, if you think Cleveland is winning, I'd go Njoku. Cleveland to Houston. Yeah, Houston is very bad versus the DE.
Cleveland at Houston. Yeah. I kind of like the. All right. So how about this? How about we put Njoku back in and Fairbairn at kicker.
Yeah.
Take Nico out.
See ya.
And then we can still think about defense. maybe Houston defense is actually a little bit more interesting because they might not be a very popular defensive pick.
Yeah. And you kind of want to play the defense at home.
And I don't know that you want to play a defense facing Dallas at home.
Yeah, I mean Henry's right. Like how many people going Lamb? Like 95%. Yeah, man. Like
Right.
Lamb is going to be the chalk pick of the year, dude. Like the common. Yeah, Rams at Detroit is going to be fun. Yeah, we're trying to like we're going with Kyron Gibbs there right now. So we're kind of thinking through it again a little bit. I do think getting rid of Nico there would be good.
Yeah, we took Nico out. We've got Houston Texans
nice
DST in now. And I guess we're talking a kicker I do know the name of. I guess we're talking Green Bay kicker, but we can change that. We could do
that's a Mason Crosby?
No.
Oh my god, what are we? It's Anders Carlson.
Yeah.
Now we're just making up names, man.
I think he's related to the other Carlson.
Daniel Carlson?
Yeah, the Raiders Carlson.
Wow. King family.
Yeah.
Carlson is GB kicker. Yeah, was trying to do some observational humor, which was not very funny. All right, let's just figure this out. Do CMC or to not CMC?
Now, yeah, that is a question. It is a question. The other question is to Lamar or not to Lamar.
Yeah, so now we're in basic. I don't know, man. Like, I don't think I really think that not playing Josh Allen is a way to go, right? And I think Lamar would be fine, but I also really want to play Zay Flowers.
Yeah. Yeah.
So then the question is do we not play CD and then play Dak? And then we're really off the beaten path.
That's true. It's hard to come up with.
We're either solo shipping or we're getting solo shipped out by the end of week 1, right?
It's hard to think of scenarios where Dallas does well and Dak, right, and Lamb doesn't play well enough that you wouldn't just prefer him over Dak, right?
Right, that's the issue. There are scenarios for Tyreek. There are scenarios. So I do.
And I think it's the same with Lamar. Like, it's hard to see the Ravens doing well and him not having good games.
Yeah.
So if you don't play Lamar, maybe you're playing Ravens fade.
Okay, actually, you know what I'm reminded of right now? Like genuinely, and this is gonna take us back. It's like the year Lamar won the MVP.
Yeah. And
then we made like a bunch of lineups with the ship chasing bros, and we had like all of them were like Lamar locked in a quarterback, and I fought for like one Mahomes lineup, and the one Mahomes lineup was the one that did well.
Yeah. And Lamar lost to the Titans in
week 1.
Game. Yeah.
Yeah. I almost wonder if we just play I almost feel like, do we play Mahomes here?
I don't hate that. I don't hate Mahomes here.
Yeah, Henry, Philly has been so bad. I wonder the Bucks beat them. Yeah, we discussed that. And we're finally got the Bucks in as like a hard fade. And like we can be talked into making this like a Green Bay hard fade. Mahomes has also been very terrible. I agree, man. Like I just really want to play Rashee Rice and call it a day at that. But like I'm just trying to think of ways we could make it happen.
I mean, let's do what we want to do. We want to play Rice. That's what we're gonna do.
Yeah, we want to play Rice. All right.
Now I think you could do Purdy at QB, or you could just eat the chalk with Lamar at QB
or
and
Josh Allen.
yeah.
And then we're those Josh Allen slappies.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, David Philippi, maybe Jake Elliott. Yeah, but then I don't know if I want to soft fade Philly. Not when I've got like not when we need like skill players out of them. Like there's like a handful of interesting ones that I actually don't mind rostering.
So see, I think Philly's kind of, I mean, yeah, I don't mind putting in like Devontae Smith or Goddard or
Yeah. Like
DeAndre
I'm
Swift.
interested in well, I'm not really all that interested in the running back.
Sure.
Schedule is out. How many teams are you planning on doing? I've never actually played this contest, and I have done the NFC. Yeah, the NFC one's different. We don't know how many teams we're planning on doing yet.
Yeah, don't know.
Houston and Cleveland. Houston, the first game out.
Oh, okay.
4:30 on Saturday. All right.
No, Cleveland and Houston. We're gonna get that wrong until I don't know, until the game kicks off.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think obviously the question is CMC, question is Lamar. Those are the two I think really important questions.
Yeah. So I think we can, if we don't play CMC, I think we can play Lamar and be okay with it, right? Like you put in like Brandon here, look. Like, and if you really want to get like, does it have to be Brandon Ayuk? It could also potentially just be Deebo Samuel, right?
Yeah, I like Ayuk.
Never for Ayuk as well, right? But then what are we doing with Buffalo, right? Because now we've sort of backed ourselves into playing them. But like playing Zay Flowers and Josh Allen, then we probably should play CMC.
Right. Yeah, if you're going to play Josh Allen. Right. That's the other thing is the Bills become harder to play if you're not playing Josh Allen cuz
that's
I don't feel great about Cook. I don't feel great about Diggs. I mean,
that's why I almost wonder if we move the kicker to Kemi Fairbairn and then you play the Buffalo defense.
The only thing about playing the Buffalo defense is, I mean, it depends, right? Well, it's hard to know because we don't know who's going to win this game. If the Bills lose, then they go to Miami and probably lose that game. And yeah, that's fine. Then you'd want Buffalo defense. If they win, they get Pittsburgh, and then you want a skill position player from.
Although Diggs is lighting it up tonight. He's got 5 for 75.
He only lights it up against Miami. But yeah, that's good to see. I mean, Allen, Mahomes has looked awful. Allen has looked pretty awful too. Like we said, Buffalo is a team that I would really want to soft fade, but I don't want to soft fade. I don't want to fade teams from the same game, right? So if we're hard fading Pittsburgh, I think we need, assuming Buffalo can win this game, then I think we need to have a skill position player. But maybe, they're losing at halftime, so I don't know.
So let's just go with the assumption that Buffalo's going to play Miami next week, right?
Yeah. All right. So what if we do? Are you thinking Jaden Reed or Nico Collins?
Jeez, man. Probably Nico.
Okay, so let's do Bills D and Nico Collins. And that gives us probably Devontae Smith.
Do you want to go Devonta Smith, or would you rather go Dallas Goedert? I'll leave that up to you. I think I prefer Smith.
I think I prefer Smith, but I don't love any of them, if I'm being honest. I mean, part of the problem is you can definitely see Philadelphia losing that game if A.J. Brown doesn't play, maybe even if he does play.
Yeah.
So you don't feel great about playing Jalen Hurts, but he's really the only guy on the team that I think is at all attractive to me.
I almost think, I was actually going to say, do you want to play Jalen Hurts in the quarterback spot and then move Devonta Smith out to Zay Flowers? But that's like,
and then CMC instead of Ayuk.
Yeah, but like that seemed like such a shit, bunch of changes. Like it feels like we're taking major L's everywhere when we do that. Like you're taking on a whole bunch of risk for not much upside.
Right.
Because I guess what I'm trying to say is, if the Eagles go out within 2 games, like what are we doing then? Like you just like dead.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. And it's not that, wouldn't be that, strange to see them play only one game. I mean, traveling to Tampa Bay with potentially no AJ Brown, they haven't looked good in a lot of games. They're not a team I necessarily want to bet on heavily. I think you could make a case for a Philadelphia soft fade or maybe even hard fade.
Yeah, that's kind of what David was saying. If you're doing a bunch of these, you should probably occasionally be a soft fade.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, Jake Elliott's a pretty good pick. I'm not gonna lie, he's a pretty good kicker.
Yeah, I mean, would you prefer something like Elliott and Jaden Reed over Smith and Carlson?
Nah, I kind of like it this way.
Now, the other thing that's kind of interesting is we've mentioned it. We get Gibbs and Kyron, 2 running backs from the same game. I mean, on the one hand, it's kind of a way to guarantee that you have a running back in the second round, but it's also a way to guarantee that you lose one of your running backs. So, so I don't completely know how I feel about it. Obviously, if the Rams win, they'd face the 49ers unless Green Bay beats Dallas, which is probably not going to happen. And then if Detroit wins, they would get probably Dallas.
Yeah, and that's like kind of the game because again, Dallas is a sort of a poorish run defense. I mean, no Gibbs,
and that would be a game with a lot of points. That would be a game where you can see Gibbs having a really big game there. So
yeah,
I mean, Gibbs is like we said at the top, he might be my favorite play in this contest.
Yeah, like but I really do think Henry. I think TB has a better shot to beat Philly than GB does. I think GB should be the hard fade. Yeah, I can actually see your point. Actually, I do see his point. If you want to, do bad Laporta. Yeah, we mentioned that at the top. We were just saying that it sucks that Laporta got hurt. Yeah, I don't mind hard fading. I mean, realistically, all we're doing is just like.
I know it's still a soft fade for.
It's still a soft fade
Tampa
for us.
Bay.
But yeah, I think maybe it makes a little bit more sense just from a kicking perspective, like to have more kicker points, right? Like it kind of doesn't matter for us, right? Like yeah.
I guess you could get like now you have a question between. I don't think I've spelled that name right. Now you have a question about Devontae Smith versus Mike Evans, or maybe
That
even
that
Rashad
bec-
White.
well, I'm kind of happy with the way it looks right now, if that makes
Yeah,
sense.
yeah,
We could probably bring this lineup back up during ship chasing and see what those guys think.
definitely, definitely. Yeah, I like this lineup. I think it makes sense. I'm just, it's hard to tell with the schedule, but you do kind of want to double check to make sure you don't have high value players who are like definitely facing off. Like, I don't exactly know how you can do that because we do have two running backs facing each other. I'm still not sure how I feel about that.
Yeah,
Um,
Pittsburgh is yet to be. I mean, so Pittsburgh is the other game on Saturday.
yeah,
They're either playing Miami or Buffalo. Uh, they're Pittsburgh is playing either Miami or it's going to be Buffalo, Kansas City, right? So
no,
because
no,
Buffalo.
Buffalo can't get the 6th seed. It'll be Miami,
Okay,
Kansas City, or Miami, Pittsburgh. If Buffalo
Miami, Kansas
wins,
City. Okay,
right? If Buffalo wins, it would be Buffalo, Pittsburgh, and
just the
Miami,
way this
Kansas
is
City. If
written.
Miami
Yeah,
wins, it'll be Miami, Buffalo, Kansas City, Pittsburgh.
just the way this is written is really odd.
So there is a chance that Kansas City plays Pittsburgh, which, yeah, fine. I don't see the Steelers beating the Chiefs either.
Yeah,
I mean, the Chiefs haven't looked good, so who knows?
yeah, but neither of the Steelers. They've just really lucked out.
I know. I wonder. I mean, the other thing is TJ Watt hurt. That kind of maybe changes your outlook for the Steelers' ability to
Stop.
stop Mahomes. But I mean, how interested are you in like Jalen Warren and a Kansas City soft fade if that matchup happens?
I'd have to be doing a lot of teams, man.
Yeah. I think I mean, if you're doing a lot of teams, maybe having one of those where you play for Pittsburgh to upset Kansas City is not a terrible idea.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think I'm happy with this team. Like we've kind of been mentioning, without knowing the exact AFC bracket, it's kind of hard to say. Um, kind of hard to
Yeah,
judge it
we'll
entirely, but
definitely bring this conversation forward on ship chasing. We're going to be kicking off the festivities on Tuesday. Um, I believe one fifth of our 5-man crew has a pretty big sweat tomorrow for a for a national championship game. So
yeah,
we're pretty excited for him. Revisit this team. We should know a little bit more about injuries, probably firm up our minds a little bit more as well, especially knowing exactly who Buffalo's going to be playing. Would help. But as of right now, I really do like the way that we're putting this team together.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm, yeah. Um, yeah, and there's obviously a lot of ways to go on a lot of these teams. A lot of other guys were pretty interesting. We did eat some chalk with CeeDee Lamb, with Tyreek Hill. You can get more
In all
creative at
honesty,
those spots without having to get too crazy. Like there are a lot of guys you can play on Miami. Hill might not even be that chalky.
yeah, in all honesty, if you wanted to make this like pretty even more unique, for better or for worse,
Mm-hmm.
you move Tyreek to HN, and you can move Nico to Dalton Schultz, and you can probably get and play CMC.
Yeah, that's true.
You,
There's a
like
lot of ways to go.
that's a pretty good way to like that's how you can play your CMC and CD Lamb together because you're
I
just so
think
unique everywhere else.
right, right. It would be, I mean, having a Lamar, CMC, CD Lamb team that's different in almost every other way gives you probably enough enough unique pieces that you can get away with playing those three guys who are going to be some of the highest owned guys in the contest. But
For sure.
they're also probably, I mean, there's a reason. It's because they're the most likely to score the most points. So I do think you want Lamar and CMC on some teams together. You want CD and CMC on some teams together. You want probably all three on some teams together, but you do
For sure
need to think about what you're doing there. Yeah. So for audio listeners, we ended up with Lamar Jackson, Jahmyr Gibbs, Kyron Williams, Rashee Rice, CeeDee Lamb, Tyreek Hill, Brandon Ayuk, Nico Collins, Devontae Smith, David Njoku, Chase McLaughlin, Bills
I believe
defense,
so.
Packers, and Steelers as our two hard fades.
We do recommend you check back in with us on Tuesday when we run this lineup again, or just run this team by the Ship Chasing crew. I don't think it's going to change, but I don't know, man. Like maybe something comes out that Sam Laporte is fine, or AJ Brown is not going to play, and then we have to think about some things, right? So I do recommend that you guys come and hang out there as well,
right.
just to see how this team is going to evolve. We're probably going to build another team there too. But yeah, this is what we've got for now.
And that is where you will get the full Boomer Opto. Hasan has been putting in the hours at the Sizzler, doing his research. Well, when he can get there between having to go into the doctor and sit next to the Boomers on their phones.
Yeah.
Or something.
Me and the Boomers having a good time at the doctor's office too, baby.
That's right. We gave some hints. I mean, Lamar, CD, CMC.
Nah, I think Lamar, maybe not. Lamar, yeah, actually. Tyreek is one, right? So, yeah, I mean, like Nico's another, right? So you'll get the full fledged Boomer Opto fairly soon, guys.
Definitely.
Just have to lock in on the hard fades and lock it on the soft fades, and the rest falls together.
Definitely. So come check that out on Tuesday on the Ship Chasing channel. We'll be on with those guys. So yeah, that'll be a fun time. This is a lot of fun. Definitely a fun contest. Definitely you want to get yourself in. They have a $35 one if you're not looking to drop $200, but it's a lot of fun. So all right, thanks everyone for hanging out, and we will talk to you later.